it was a couple of days ago when you spoke of, I'm paraphrasing, living in the perfection until there's a flaw, or something to that effect. And I decided to give that a whirl myself and see the perfection of the moment, even though parts of my thinking were saying, no, this is wrong, or this should be improved, this should be fixed. Actually, it came about simply by, I was in a particular situation where things were, by and large, okay. A little bit of pain here, a little bit of pain there, whatever. But, all things considered, pretty darn good. So it was not hard for me to say, okay, this is perfect as it stands. And from that point, I was able to let my mind go quiet for a bit. I don't recall how it actually proceeded from that, but I had the impression later, I suppose, maybe thinking about it, that the flaw that may have arisen, for example, just being at peace, more or less, or I'll say at peace, I could have, for example, become hungry. Would you include that as being a flaw that might be along with the perfection, being hungry?
Well, perhaps, Timothy, but then that would beg the rule or the implication that no food is needed in order for us to live, in order for that to be a flaw. Because otherwise, hunger would be part of the perfection and not the flaw, without being the flaw. It's as I said, it's delightful to talk about this, because what I'm talking about is the opposite, or the mirror image of what living your life in knowledge is. When you live your life in knowledge from thought, then the supposition is you go along until you make a mistake, and then the mistake you remember, and by virtue of studying your mistakes, you supposedly do not repeat them. Well, that is the action called mirror image of what I'm talking about. Does that make it any easier, Dundee? I wonder. And go ahead.
Let me see. Maybe I'm misinterpreting what you're saying, but in 2006, I took a year off work and whatever, and did my sabbatical thing. And I was walking many, many miles a day, eating very little, okay? Not feeling hunger in particular. And in over a course of about a month, I dropped about 30 pounds. And I said, whoa, I got to eat more. And I started eating more, and more in accord with the amount of energy I was putting out with all my walking and everything. And I stopped that precipitous weight loss. Now, does that mean that I have observed that eating is necessary or something, or am I fooling myself from where you stand?
Well, from listening with what you're saying, Timothy, I would guess that there was a discovery, a discovery that the food was not necessary, and then your body was adjusting to that and putting itself into a perfect shape, or the condition that your body would be in without food. But then you had a background belief that you had to eat, and if you didn't eat, or if you kept, the background belief is the same. If you kept on eating or not eating, that you perhaps would become ill and die. Because if it's true what I say, that we do not need food to live, it's only true once the belief that we need food to live ends. And that is a belief that is age old. So the belief itself will kill you.
Okay, well, if you add that last bit about the belief itself will kill you, then at least that's still in accord with my observations. I did, in fact, increase my amount of eating, not because of hunger, because I wasn't particularly hungry, but it was because I'd noticed that I'd lost, like, in a month, which is a lot. But, of course, there had to be a belief for me to go and weigh myself. So, yeah, it's all consistent with what you say. As to whether we can actually live without food, I will suspend judgment on that.
Yes, and if it's true, then it will manifest itself. It will come to pass, so to speak. A Bible phrase, it shall come to pass. And in that will be the ending of violence, and the ending of the need to kill, and So all of it is, well, everything that we're doing, everything we're talking about here is intertwined. And yet Dundee says, do we dare to live without food? I mean, what would we do when we went out to eat if we didn't have food?